is going on? How y'all doing out there in Uncle Steve's Lounge? It is Friday. It is Cinco de Mayo. So great celebration for you guys to do that. I've never really celebrated, but it is what it is. How's everybody doing out there today? It is Friday. It is cloudy. I don't know what happened to the weather, man. It's raining actually. I say cloudy. It's actually raining out there, but inside it is nice and warm. We are cool in here with your Uncle Steve in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, tell your friends who is bringing you the content on Friday with the Friday brunch. We try to come to you at least every Friday for 1 hour just to catch up on what's going on going into the weekend. Thank you for all those joining me in the Atlanta Bird Gang, Facebook, my first home. Always got love for you guys. Appreciate everybody coming in to join us today. 3 topics we're going to talk about today. First one will be jersey numbers. And it's really interesting to me that this is kind of taking a life of its own. Bijan Robinson, our illustrious number 1 pick this year for the Atlanta Falcons, has somehow subdued the number 7 away from Younghoe Koo. And now he is wearing that number 7. Now, it's kind of interesting to me because when Younghoe Koo got the number from Michael Vick, there were definitely a couple of detractors. I know Mike Vick is still Mike Vick here in the city, and I don't blame him at all. But now it seems like it's even more. So I don't know. Maybe it has social media jumped up in the last 2 years so much that now we're talking about it even more, or is it just that people are looking for something to talk to during the off season, which is fine. That's cool. We need a lot to talk about before September. Got a lot of things to get into before we get into the real football. So that's no problem talking about that. We're also going to talk about the upcoming schedule. I'm very interested to see where the Atlanta Falcons are going to be this year. We talked about it again last week. And of course, this coming week, they are supposed to be releasing the full schedule. So I know everybody's waiting with bated breath, trying to see what games you're going to go to out of town, what games I'm going to go to the Benz to for the first time. What travel plans do I have to make? Will the Atlanta Falcons get any primetime games this year? Will we have to do another international game this year? That just so many things. And that's one of the, probably to me, the last huge offseason thing that the NFL does right before they get into training camp. I know they have rookie training camp coming up and things like that, but that schedule release is probably the last big offseason thing for the NFL. Then they kind of go into the bunker and duck their head, poke their heads back up right before minicamp and all those things. So excited to see what the NFL thinks of the Atlanta Falcons, because of course, when they don't think much of you, you get one game, and that's the one Amazon Prime game on Thursday night, which every team gets. So that's not really that big of a deal. But I have a sneaky suspicion that we're going to probably get at least one. And my best guess is probably going to be against Carolina, with Bryce Young, whether he succeeds or not, is the number 1 overall pick. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that. Who knows? ESPN might try to get Carolina against Houston, because our division plays AFC South this year. So maybe they'll try to pit the number 1 against the number 2 one time for prime time this year. But it's going to be interesting to see. Had Matt Ryan hung around for a cup of tea in Indianapolis, you can bet your bottom dollar that would have been a Sunday night game with Matt Ryan returning home. But now it's kind of interesting just to see how that's going to work out. And my third question, I'm probably going to get into this more on Sunday, since we have a little bit of limited time today, since we only do the brunch for about an hour. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame came out with its 2023 inductions. And when it first came out, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I was like, okay, cool, because I'm a cat who has been a rock fan and top 40 and R&B. I mean, that whole jumbled music, I am down with it. But it was like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I said, okay, so you probably have a lot more rock artists being involved in that. It's fine. It's their place. But I was looking at the inductees this year and I was trying to say to myself, do any of these artists scream rock and roll? Note, I'm not saying these folks aren't worthy of recognition. I'm saying from the rock and roll standpoint, kind of makes you wonder. So the inductees, and I'm not talking about special awards. I know Shaka Khan is getting something as far as that, but these are performers because that's the big plaque. You get the musical as a performer to be inducted. That's the big deal. So we have Kate Bush, who got her song kind of replayed this year when Stranger Things used it in one of their pivotal episodes this year. Kate Bush, I'm like, okay, but does it scream rock and roll to me? I don't know. Sheryl Crow, I can go with rock and roll for her. I mean, she's definitely have. I kind of lean into a little more popish with her, but she can definitely land in the rock and roll side of things. But this is where the twist comes. And this is like the biggest twist because I probably next to Stevie and Prince and Michael, that little genre, I think George Michael may be one of my favorite artists, one of the guys that truly underrated when it starts coming about, when you start talking about how great of a vocalist he was and the stuff with Wham and the stuff solo and the duets with Elton John and Aretha Franklin. George Michael is that guy, was that guy, I should say. And for him to get inducted, I was like, cool, but is George Michael rock and roll? That's my confusion with everything. So then we go to my girl, Missy Elliott. Great. Love Missy Elliott. I mean, one of the true second tier rap. And when I say second tier, the first tier with Salt and Pepper, Real Roxanne, MC Light, all of those folks, that should be a historic rap category for those women. But Missy Elliott kind of took it to that next level, not only with her innovative rap style, but of course her visuals on the videos and all of that thing. And I think Missy Elliott is well deserving of recognition, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then we have the Spinners. And of course, I love the Spinners. Spinners, who wouldn't? Spinners, old school, I'll Be There. Then Came You with Dionne Warwick. Rubber Band Man. All that good stuff. But Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then Willie Nelson, country. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just doesn't match up. So that's something that I'm going to probably take into the weekend, and we'll continue that on our little Sunday chill broadcast that we do this week. But I just thought it was something to start getting your mind centered around. So that's what we're talking about, folks. Number 7 drama, the schedule release, and a little bit of that you make you scratch your head when you say Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and some of the names I brought up just don't match. But it is what it is. All right, coming to the comments today, John Brooks in the house, as always. What's going on, brother? And what do you think about Falcons signing Penny Hart? Penny Hart, late of Seattle. I can't sit here and act like it made me stop what I was doing. I mean, Penny Hart, I know, mostly known for being local, Georgia State Panther, did well when he was there. And I think, if I remember correctly, 11 total receptions in his career since 2019. I know he was injured one of the years as well. But it's kind of hard for me to get super, super, super overexcited about that. But it's a camp body, so we'll see what we have. I think our wide receiver room will get crowded before all is said and done. I really do. I just think we haven't look real hard as far as that's concerned. Waiting for some of these free agents to give up on these demands. Billy Mills in the house. What's going on, sir? Jimmy Wayne. Jimmy Wayne said, "Hey, Uncle, who did that logo? That is awesome." I will inbox you and let you know how that came about there, Mr. Jimmy Wayne. I'll catch you probably later on this afternoon. I'll let you know on my way once I get to work. Lisa in the house. How you doing? Happy Friday to you, ma'am. What's going on? Philip in the house. Thank you, sir. ATL. AX, what's up, sir? Sean in the house. What's going on, Sean? How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Larry from the Dixon Way, always alive, always looking at these events over the last couple of days. I know he did the Braves yesterday. I think he did the Lakers too. So Lakers as the Warriors tie things up. Y'all go check the Dixon Way out if you get a chance. I'm sure he'll be in the house today. And RJ Falcons in the house. What's going on, sir? Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday. Charles, what's going on? Philip says, I see BR5 is working out with Chase Young. Yeah, man. I mean, hey, whatever it takes. It's that off season, man. Larry says, I love that new intro. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Y'all give me some love on the intro. I'm going to have to definitely let them know that they did a good job on that. Francis is in the house. What's going on? Good to see you on this Friday. 95 North, my buddy, my homeboy, Alberto. 95 North Falcons Talk. Y'all make sure y'all check him out. He did a nice video on Jonnu Smith. If you haven't had a chance to look at it on YouTube, while you're looking at it, make sure you subscribe and push the like button on there as well. Lisa said BR7. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Larry says, please let's talk about the Falcons almost getting Kyler Murray, homie. That's a very good idea. We can talk about that as well. What's up, Antonio? Good to see you here. I am going to skip to a couple of folks down here and see. Pantera 1959. How you doing? Good. Thank you for coming in. So I did some research last night. The Ritter effect out. Tyler Algier averaged 47 yards per game under Marcus Mariota, but 107 behind Ritter. With Drake London, it was 40. With Eminem, it was 80 yards with Desmond Ritter. That's very astute of you. And that's not really a shot to listen. If you have a competent person at the quarterback position, the stats will show. Things will loosen up. And people knew Marcus Mariota couldn't get the ball to him. I mean, I can only imagine how Kyle Pitts felt last year as the rest of a lot of people gave up on him. Kyle Pitts was probably like, yeah, dude, he can't get me the ball. I'm 6'6", and he overthrowing me big time. So, I don't know. Rusty in the house. What's going on, Rusty? Rusty said MV7 is the reason this kid from New Jersey became a Falcon fan, but he didn't do enough to have his number retired. 2 and 11 have more of a case than 7. I don't think they should be retired either. And I'm going to have to stop and talk about that because everyone is asking me about that now. Yeah, and Philip's talking about Bijan and Chase Young again. Yeah, I'm sure people are wondering, is that going to be a connection to bring Chase Young here? We'll wait and see. Alberto says, Jets game, no pressure. Brother, it's on the list. Trust me. Now, I will say this. I'm going to give you a caveat. Now, if it's cold, if it's after November up there in New York, we might have to talk a little bit, but goodness gracious. Lisa says, someone said we're getting a London game as the visiting team in 2023, which is weird because I don't care if you're a home game or not. When you're in London, everybody's a visiting team. But I hear what you say, Lisa. I'm just, if that happens, I'll be a little surprised. We just went in 2021. But you know what it is, Lisa? I think it's one of those things. It's the Jacksonville effect. The NFL is saying to themselves, well, Jacksonville, until you get better and until you up your game, we're going to keep putting y'all on these international trips because we need to put somebody overseas to keep the NFL interest in. So until the Falcons actually put some stuff on the board, because you don't see the big time teams go over there. You really don't. Like you might see them once. but it's not really huge matchups that go over there. I didn't see Kansas City versus Cincinnati in London. I didn't see Philadelphia versus Dallas in London. So they put the second tier team. So if until we get out of that tier, you might want to get that passport ready. Larry says Bijan versus Young will be one primetime game. Yeah, and I think that's a candidate for me, Larry. Now, you know, if you were listening last week, I said that would probably be a Monday night possibility because of Chase Young. Not Chase Young. What's the boy's name? Bryce Young. I'm mixing the Chase and the Bryce. But Bryce Young and Bijan, that's probably going to be something that, you know, you think about. David says Missy Elliott. Yes, Missy. Congratulations to her. The rain, that was a whole nother level from rapping, and that video is stuck in my mind. But Missy always. Oh, what was the song? The song she did with Luda, Gossip Folks. I could still jam to that. Gossip. That's one of my favorites by her. Millie says it's only because Bijan gonna be on the field more than Koo, and plus it's another skill position, so people have to see that number more often. It'll bring back memories of 7, like they really did. Lisa says George Michael, phenomenal voice. George Michael was that guy. I mean, straight up that guy. And I know a lot of people look at Wham as more of the new, what's they called? One Direction-ish type stuff for the 80s, kind of him and the guy prancing around and all the videos and stuff. But there's no denying that dude's voice. And Faith probably is one of the best, not only pop albums, that was one of the great soul albums. If you really listen to a couple of cuts on there, George Michael is awesome. Larry says Careless Whisper is a classic, period, point blank. Probably one of my top 10 all-time songs ever. I mean, you can't beat Careless Whisper. Matter of fact, Careless Whisper is guilty for so many songs after it that had the little saxophone. And while it wasn't the same tune, if you notice, like 5 to 10 years, everybody had their ballad with the sultry saxophone and then go into the ballad thing, because that Careless Whisper was so huge. And matter of fact, Last Christmas, which is my favorite Christmas song, I think that was a classic. I can listen to Last Christmas right now on the radio, and it's just as good to me. I always got love for that one. David says Faith is the top 10 album of all time, in my opinion. That's one of them. Definitely up there. Lisa says Missy is a living legend. Absolutely. James, what's going on, brother? Rise up from Kentucky, my friend. It's my John Harris in the house. What's up, Jay? Said it is our duty to turn the youngins on to quality music, to at least try to preserve the discerning ear for what is good and bad in music. If we don't, people will copy jump for money, saying and innovation will be scarce. I'm sorry. It's funny you say that, and I'm probably going to save that for Sunday. The Ed Sheeran thing. Big Ed Sheeran guy, obviously big Marvin Gaye guy. But I do feel like I think Marvin Gaye and them folks got a little greedy on that one. Not saying it doesn't sound like the song. Not saying it doesn't give you the vibes of the song. But because the further we go into that you can play, and it's up to an artist to do the 8 notes in a different way to make you like the song. You can't go suing everybody just because it sounds a little like your song. The words were different. It put you in a different groove. Let's Get It On was a beautiful song. It was more sultry. It was more sensuous. Where Thinking Out Loud was, you know, it was a love song, but it was more of a, kind of a tribute-ish type song to whoever he was talking about. I just feel like sometimes we gotta be careful with all the suing. I'm still ticked off over Marvin Gaye suing Pharrell and Robin Thicke over blurred lines. I think that was ridiculous too, when you think about it. Larry says Run DMC is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rappers are allowed in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for it. Yeah, I'm not saying that they aren't there. I guess I'm saying is why. If somebody said, while Berry Gordy is still alive and Smokey Robinson is more Berry Gordy, if somebody created a hall for R&B, and I'm not talking about the Soul Train Awards, I'm talking about a legitimate, academy for R&B music, that's what we should have for that. If they have it in country, they got the Academy of Country Music. They do that. They have their Hall of Fame. They have their folks where they do that. And don't get me wrong, I understand the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame encapsulates a lot of music because they did steal from blues and soul and a lot of the stuff they did with rock and roll. But I also feel like it's just weird to me to hear Missy Elliott into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Willie Nelson into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Spinners into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I get it, but it would just be nice if they were in their own genre. Lisa says, Careless Whisper is in my top 5. Never Gonna Dance Again. Guilty Feet have got no rhythm. The bridge to that song is killer too. I might get that to you on Sunday when my voice is better, but I love that song. David says Missy Elliott's best work was production of Whitney Houston's Oh Yes. And people don't realize how great of a producer she is. And a lot of people tend to just look at the stuff she did with Timberland and say, oh, Timberland must have did all her stuff. No, not everything. Missy's a great producer and artist. Out of your Falcon mind, what's going on, man? John and Mike in the house. Y'all make sure y'all check them out. He did a nice show the other day with Big Low, and I can't remember the other little guy. I think he was from New Orleans, which is probably why I don't remember his name. But y'all check them out on YouTube. They are slowly climbing into the hierarchy of the great Atlanta content creators here in the city, and we want to keep that momentum going for all of our folks there trying to do our thing. Christian, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in the house. Lisa says, shout out to GSU. I didn't know about Hart, though. Yeah, Hart, he was actually pretty good. He was all conference guy for the Sun Belt. I mean, he was decent, and I remember him more when he came out than when the last year or two. But I know injuries have kept him off the field. It's kind of going back to what Terry said. He wants to get a lot of the people from this area and bringing them here. So he's stayed true to that, at least. So Pantera says ATL should have a hip hop Hall of Fame to go along with the College Hall of Fame. It's interesting to me. I probably wouldn't put the hip hop Hall of Fame in Atlanta. That's probably got to go to New York. I mean, if you really start to think about it, I don't know who decided on Cleveland so for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but that's not here or there. But I think as much as Atlanta has meant to the hip hop community, and especially over the last 10, 20 plus years, the birth of hip hop was definitely in New York. And I think it would just be more symbolic to have it there, just like the country. I don't know whether the AMC is in Nashville or not. So before I speak out of turn, but I wouldn't mind it being in Atlanta, but I think it would be more to be in New York. Jimmy Wayne says the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is getting loose with its true rock and roll to get people in. This is great. Great this is happening, but I get why fans would look like. Exactly. That's my thing. I'm not trying to knock the honor. I'm just saying it's just weird. It's just weird. Stephon in the house. What's going on, man? Good to see you in here. Good to see you in here. Alberto, oh man, anytime, my friend. Anytime. Lisa says, I heard the Falcons don't retire numbers. So why are you debating a moot point? Yeah, and you know, I've heard a lot of people get into the back and forth about retiring things. I lo- I love my Falcons, y'all. Y'all know that. Love these Falcons. Awesome. I just don't see um, anybody except Matt and Julio, possibly. But I'll say Matt before Julio. That would even come close to getting that on. And when you talk about retiring a number, that we're quick to do that. These GOAT conversations, you know, Curry, LeBron, and baseball, Mike Trout, you know, just all of the. We're in such a rush to make people the GOAT and make people iconic and retire numbers and stuff like that. Yeah, let's give it a little second. Let's give it a second. Mike Vick, if he didn't do anything in this city, he brought a camera from the outside looking in into this city. I remember when he was, you know, people forget we weren't in line to get Mike Vick. They were talking about us getting Drew Brees because we didn't have the number one overall pick. We traded that, which they eventually ended up getting Drew Brees, to the Chargers. So while, you know, we were getting the exciting Virginia Tech type guy, nobody knew that he would be that polarizing, that electrifying. But combine that with, you know, the city's environment. I'm sorry. You're coming into the Black Mecca down here. And at that particular time, that wasn't a picture shown very much. Matter of fact, dare I say, isn't Mike Vick the first black quarterback to be picked first overall? I could be wrong on that, but I think that's right. But aside of the color thing, he added a level of excitement. You know, we go back in time, the Grits Blitz, awesome defense, historical defense. But back in the 80s and stuff, you know, it wasn't about swag. It wasn't about that. It was about winning, and we didn't win. We had a great defense, but we couldn't score. The 1980 team, as great as that team was and as underlooked as they'll always be in Atlanta Falcons franchise history, there was nothing exciting about the team. They were good. They were very good. But nothing came out at you. At that time in the NFL, if you didn't play for Dallas and you didn't play for Pittsburgh, who cares? Maybe Oakland, maybe the Rams. Nobody else cared. The closest we came to that feeling was probably when Prime came here. And Prime was drafted. But then there were detractions away from that. Oh, Prime is too flashy. We're not ready for that. We don't want that. Trust me, it was going on. Trust me. I was in the Army when he got drafted, and I knew it was going on here. People try to act like 30 years later they were welcoming Deion with open arms. No, they were welcoming Deion's gold chains and shades and drip curl. S curl he had in there. He did need to fix that curl. But that wasn't as welcoming as people saying. Everybody trying to act like, oh, that was great. No, people were looking down on that. Too flashy, too talkative, too brash. That's why he would have never been long-term with the Braves, not those Braves. Oh, he would have fit in great with Brian Snitker's Braves. But back then, Bobby Cott's Braves, oh no. But he couldn't keep him off the field because he could play. He couldn't keep him off the field. So fast forward to the Super Bowl team. Super Bowl team was great. The Dirty Bird was a great thing, still hanging around to this day. But people weren't excited. And plus, that was more of a one-hit wonder year. Didn't make the playoffs the year before, didn't make the playoffs the next 2 years afterwards, or 3 years afterwards. So enter Mike Vick into this city that's hungry for a spotlight, hungry for somebody to come look. Look at us. This can be that place. And it didn't help. It didn't hurt that Arthur Blank made those $10 tickets, season tickets up in the upper level. And Mike Vick added that excitement for a couple of years. Does that equate into retirement? The retirement of the number? No. It equates into a fun time for Atlanta Falcon fans then. And this is part of the reason why the Bijan thing is interesting, because you can almost argue that from a potential kind of excitement standpoint, really, I mean, unless you want to add Julio, but I don't even think people were looking like that with Julio. This could probably be the most potentially exciting guy that we've had here in a long time. But retired number, nah, we need to stop that conversation. And you can love Vic as much as you want to. I love Vic. Love what he did for us. But nah. Excuse me. Give me the argument when you start talking about Matt Ryan, which is really not an argument, but yeah. Anthony White, what's going on, brother? Says Michael McDonald was a bad boy as well, on my own with Pat LaBelle. That's another underrated guy. When you start talking about the stuff he did, well, the Doobie Brothers were a totally different band. But when he joined, he added, they already had a little bit of that Southern type of, Blackwater. Go back and listen to that and listen to the music and all of that. But when Michael McDonald came with that sultry, you don't know me, I'm your brother. When he came in with all of that, whole different story. Michael McDonald, that's totally underrated guy. James says, my favorite song by George Michael was Father Figure. Yeah, that was a good one too. Like I said, that whole Faith album. Faith, Father Figure, One More Try, Monkey, Kissing a Fool. Just hit after hit after hit. Eric Parker, what's up, man? Bro, I'm from Kearney, New Jersey. I live in Cordell, Georgia, became a fan because of Vic. And again, Vic, it was no doubt that, and this was the first time, because we were the Atlanta Falcons, we could try it, that you brought that college level type of excitement with your quarterback to the pros. And he ran like that. And back in the guys who don't get remembered, the Tony Rices and the what's my boy from Nebraska? Missing. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Won 2 national championships. But yeah, those guys that didn't get an opportunity to showcase their wares in the NFL. But he brought that straight here to Atlanta. And Atlanta's at a point where, hey, let's give it a shot. Why not? And now, 20 years after Vic was chosen, now you see the type of player that kind of is running the NFL. Millie says, yeah, y'all talking about artists way before my time. I'm 34 or just never heard of them. Yeah, Millie, but you know what? Eventually, you're going to be on my shoes when your kids are talking about, Daddy, why they call him Drake? That doesn't make sense. And NBA Youngboy, why did he have three different names? I mean, it's generational, brother. You'll catch up with it. It's all good. Todrick, what's going on, man? Hey, it's amazing to me how you criticize the critics. It's amazing to me how you criticize the critics, me included, for not getting Lamar because of trenches, but you criticize us for not getting trenches, but drafting Bijan. Make it make sense. It's called a change of opinion, my friend. I don't know what else you want me to say. I I don't know, Dodger. I don't sit. I'm not going to ever sit here and say that my opinion is not going to change on certain situations. And I could do this too. I did want Lamar Jackson, but guess what? We didn't get him. So you want me to go buy a Lamar jersey and support the Ravens and whatever? Yeah, you gotta stop. You gotta stop with the trying to make that such a big deal. I've moved on way past Lamar. You can stay there if you want to, but all good, brother. Dixon Wade says, I would love to see us use or create our R&B and hip hop Hall of Fame. So you're another one that says bring it to Atlanta. That's pretty cool. Pantera says Run DMC did Walk This Way duo with Aerosmith. Yeah, but one song doesn't make you a rock artist, though. I mean, I get that. Yeah, and that was a brilliant mashup. And if you listen to them with the history, they say they used to rap over that all the time. When they first got started, that was one of their favorite songs they used to rap over. And then once they got big, they said, hey, let's make it happen. Turned out to be the biggest song of their career. Jimmy Wayne says they tried recreating the R&B Hall of Fame, but the guy who wanted to do it so got called out for his true intentions. They were going to put it here in Augusta, but our mayor called the guy out. Oh, really? I did not know that. Oh, that's interesting. How about Buddy Billy? What's going on, brother? How you feeling, man? Good to see you, man. I see you. Man, your family is getting, them kids getting old, bruh. You just like me, man. You give my best to your wife and family, brother. Good to see you in the house. James says, I wish they would retire Deion Sanders' number. I think he paid away for cornerbacks. No. Deion can't get Deion. If you're gonna retire Deion's number, James, you got to retire Vic's. If Deion didn't even stay here but a hot second, and yes, he had flashes his first year. Deion didn't have an all-pro year his rookie year. Let's not try to add that. I mean, it's easy. It's so easy 20 years later or 30 years later when people look back and they say, oh, look how he was, this. That's because they show highlights. Deion had a rough rookie season. He was good. He did a couple of good things, but he didn't become Deion in the pros until right before 1990, more or less. But, no, you can't. Don't retire his number. Not here. David says, in the Chargers drafted LaDainian Thompson with that pick and that they got from us in that draft. And because I think they got our second round pick, because I think Drew Brees was like, the first pick in the second round? If I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, Dave. He also says Terry Pendleton said Prime could have been a Hall of Fame baseball player if he had concentrated on baseball. I think he had so many interests, but he knew his fame was going to come from football. No way. Dixon Way, I would love to see an R&B. Oh, I've seen that already. Sorry about that. What's going on, John? How you doing, brother? Good to see you in the house, man. Larry says, Bijan is the face of the franchise, period, point blank. The team paid Koo to get that number and bestow it upon Bijan. You know what I think happened? I think he asked for it. I don't think the team did that. I think he asked for it. Bijan could have got any number he wanted to. I think he asked for that. I agree with you with the face of the franchise thing. Well, I think he had to go ask them. Eric says Doobie Brothers crossed over with Michael McDonald. Absolutely, they did. When you start looking at some of the stuff when Tom Johnston was in the group, when, prior to Michael McDonald getting there, it was a different sound. And again, for those of you who don't know about the Doobie Brothers, you got to probably go back a little bit and do your research from the early 70s. Right around the time that Michael McDonald came with Taking It to the Streets and It Keeps You Running, and then of course the big Grammy one, What a Fool Believes, and things. And to your point, yeah, they crossed over with Michael, but you knew he wasn't going to be able to stay there real long, and he did the next album. After the next album, he left. Yeah, I figured, leave it to you to always get me right, man. Y'all give love to Tidy and Atlanta Bird Gang, man. Atlanta Bird Gang on YouTube. Make sure you like the videos and subscribe, please. He always is my encyclopedia when this old brain can't rattle it. Tommy Frazier. How do I not? Tommy Frazier. And Tommy Frazier was so dominant. I mean, those Nebraska teams, and don't get me wrong, they were good, but Tommy Frazier is that guy that you go back and you look, man, I wonder if Tommy Frazier was that cat now in 2020s, if you could take him and fast forward him into now, he'd be a number one pick coming from the things he did in college. He was a really good quarterback. Yeah. And yeah, thank you, Dave. I see you up here. And Frazier played with arguably one of the greatest running backs we not just Lawrence Phillips. What a sad story. Because let me tell you something. Lawrence Phillips was on the field, was a beast. Just couldn't get past those demons, man. But he was that guy on Nebraska. Played for the Rams, right? I think played for the Rams. Dexter, what's going on? Said we wasn't getting Lamar or no other team. The HM came out. Maybe you're talking about the GM. GM came out and said they were going to match any offer a team offered. And again, they did it. So the moment they said we were done, not say we were done. They say they were going with Ritter. What am I going to do? And that's one of the crazy things. I think there are people, and you do have people, it's almost like this Philadelphia thing with the Georgia Bulldogs, and you have a small fraction. It's not a huge, but it's a small enough fraction to trigger a lot of real Falcons fans that you see one person put out a post and say, well, all the Atlanta never drafts Georgia folks, so I'm going to go up Philadelphia and get some season tickets. Go Dogs. And, as a Falcon fan, you let them go. So what? If you truly are a Falcon fan, that wouldn't even come up in your mind to leave. So that's why when I see, silly statements like Todrick was making, just to say you want somebody to quibble and get kind of softy. Oh no, Lamar's not here, so I'm gonna protest the season. Man, damn Lamar. I was a Falcon fan way before some of you guys were embryos, including you, Todrick. So does that make me a bigger fan than anybody? No, but it makes me also say that I've gone through enough average and below average quarterbacks to say I have reason to have doubts. I don't want to hear about potential. We've had potential guys here a lot. I got to see it on the field. And guess what? Why not see it on the field while I'm rooting for my favorite team? But yeah. Out of Falcon Mind says Lawrence Phillips was something else. Absolutely he was. Absolutely. John says, can't do Vic. He stole money from us. He did not apply himself. He did not respect the team. I agree with everything you said. I also am a person that believes in forgiveness. And as much as I was on the other side, for folks who remember that time, like yourself, John, you remember there was quite a faction of folks that really thought Arthur Blank was to blame for not looking out for Mike Vick. When Mike was out behind the scenes, funneling money into what they were doing, what is it, Bad News Kennels, whatever it was called, and he was doing that, there was a faction of Atlanta folks that were mad, seriously mad at Arthur Blank. Oh, you're not looking out for him. You're not doing. And then later on, watch any documentary with Mike Vick in the last 10 years. Mike Vick is the first to tell you, man, I was fooling all of them. I had my playbook in the trunk. I could care less about what people saying. I was lying to them and all of that. So, yeah, he did. He definitely did not endear himself to the Falcons franchise. But there was a groundswell of folks in this city that still to this day, I had a lady come up to me last football season and she had her Vic jersey on. And we were just talking as we were, sitting there in the thing. And she's like, they did. I'm gonna always wear my Vic, trying to be loud so somebody can argue with her. I'm gonna always be my Vic. They did him wrong. They did him wrong. And Mike Vick is the first person to tell people, nah, did myself wrong. Immature. And at that time, remember, Mike Vick was the first quarterback to get a $100 million contract. We do that a lot here. When we overpay folks. But, it is what it is. Facebook user says, as a professional DJ, I challenge younger people to study music of yesteryear. There is more to music than what's out today. Calvin, yeah, man. I know I play the generational game a lot. I don't want anybody to think just because naturally you've lived longer that makes me any smarter than young folks. I'll say this: I've attained more knowledge maybe than some young folks. I might not be as witty smart, but when you start talking about music, sometimes, you have some people that literally think when Dr. Dre was coming out with all of that stuff that he made all those they don't know about Leon Haywood and the Nothing But a G Thing sample. They don't know about Funkadelic and the several songs that they ripped off from most of them. I say ripped off. Some of the stuff they ended up giving them credit for. But yeah, there's a lot to be learned in that music. And you know that as a DJ, definitely. James says, why didn't Atlanta re-sign him after his first contract? Oh, you talking about Dion? They didn't want to pay him. At that time, Dion left. Dion left right after probably arguably one of the most exciting seasons in 1991. A muddy field away from probably going to the NFC Championship game against the eventual Super Bowl champions, Washington Redskins. He wanted to get paid. And he knew his worth. He had worth. Deion Sanders was the most popular cat going at that time. Went straight to San Francisco, led them to a Super Bowl, jumped ship to Dallas. Guess what? Repeat, rinse and repeat. But the Falcons weren't into that. They enjoyed the full stadiums and all the excitement in 91 and all of that. But when brash Dion came up, it's like, hey, man, time to pay the piper. Rankin Smith, I'm like, oh, no, I'm scared. That's what that was. Corey, what's going on? Said, do you think the Falcons are done trying to recruit a number 2 wide out, or will they roll with who they have at wide receiver start season? I don't think they're finished looking. Don't even be surprised that they might even try to trade somebody. I just don't see them even as this team is being built as a blue collar team, right? And I think that's what the identity is. At least if you don't say anything else for Arthur Smith, he's building his identity. This is going to be a blue collar team. Now, do you need a A-plus receiver for that? Possibly not. Drake London is nice. I mean, he's no beans in the top 10, but I think he can evolve into something great. So as far as a number 2 receiver, I would like to get somebody over there that has a little bit of experience, maybe a veteran or something like that. But I don't think it's over. Jimmy Wayne says the only number that deserves to be recognized or retired would be Ryan. He played here and gave his heart. Next would be Novus. Van Note, and Barkowski. Dion is down on that list. And the only reason he's saying, I'm speaking for you, maybe I'm not, I shouldn't be speaking for you, but the only reason I think Dion is down on the list because Dion didn't stay here long. He gave us that little bit of excitement, which would be the argument for Vic. So you can't say, I'm going to put Dion in and don't put Vic in. It's the same argument. And I know what Mike Vick did. I get that. But people also forget Mike Vick is number 2 in playoff wins as a quarterback here. Sad to say, his 2 playoff wins are more than any other person but Matt Ryan, and only 1 less than Matt Ryan. Wow, that's sad, right? No. Matt got 4. I apologize. He has 4. Got Seattle win, the 2 wins during the Super Bowl year, and the Rams. So he has 4. My apologies. Got to give him his credit. So Matt has 4. Vic has 2. Tidy says Chargers. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Forgot about that. Yep. They traded away Tim Dwight. He still had a little bit left in him, too. Dexter says, we wasn't getting Lamar and no other team. Oh, damn, I just saw that. Why are these things repeating? I'm sorry, y'all. Jason Wade says, Steve, Dion had 53 interceptions for his career. 24 of those interceptions was in the first 4 years of his career as a Falcon uniform. The rest of his interceptions was from 4 teams combined. Yeah, that's good. That's still, you still can't retire his number, though. So, Dexter says, did you hear the rumor that we tried to trade for Murray before the draft? Murray's garbage. He had a lot of talent around him, and we couldn't win. Yeah, and I'm hearing that, but, I don't doubt that it could have been a possible discussion. I think the only thing was the Falcons were probably going to ask for a chunk of that money to be deferred. Yeah, what would be the difference at this point between Murray and Ritter? I think Terry would not be doing his due diligence if he didn't look at every opportunity, if the story is true. Kyler Murray is okay. He's not great. He gets hurt. He made it to the playoffs, didn't win. But if they would have sliced that salary in half, who knows? And I'm not saying I would have done the deal. I'm just saying, but if that story is true, I mean, you got to do your due diligence as a general manager. They even said it in the video with even Lamar Jackson. They had to explore. Of course, they explored that. Why wouldn't they? So I'm sure they explored trades too. And when it didn't work out, guess what? You can always fall back. It was Ritter all the time. I don't buy that, but Larry says continuation before your response. Dion played as many years as a Falcon as a Cowboy. We just wasted Dion's stand. We didn't have people around him either. I mean, Dion unfortunately got to Dallas right when Aikman was getting, a little old, and they were on he won the 1 Super Bowl, and then after that, Dallas kind of slipped back a little bit. But yeah, whether he was there 1 million, 4 years or not, wasted his talents, but we didn't have a lot around him. We really didn't. Say Uncle Steve, 137 million. Steve, 137 million. And I probably asked, I don't remember what you're talking about. You're talking about maybe for Mike Vick. Next said we paid Mike $100 million. He did us wrong. You can't hold no $1 billion organization down for a player. Facts. There were a lot, but Dexter, I'm telling you, if anybody in here can vouch for, and not from what you read, for anybody who was in this city during that time, during the 2007 season when we were going through all that turmoil, there were folks that were seriously, like when Mike got out of jail, Bring him back. Bring him back. He cost Arthur Blank millions of dollars. 2007, I was still at the game, still going to the games into empty Georgia Dome. And people were like, "Oh no, forget the stuff he did and what he did." And to me, you know what? I'm not even gonna get into the weighing out, dog fighting over felonies to humans. I'm not gonna get into all of that because it might not be what people want to hear. But I am saying from an organization standpoint, Mike Vick screwed the Falcons. He did. And you can't get rewarded for that. We could have longing memories of him. He came into my face right now. I'd shake his hand and say, "Man, thank you for making 2002 to 2006 some of the most exciting football we had ever seen. Had Atlanta on the map, had us on prime time, all of that. Won a couple of playoff games. Can't deny that. You're not going to win it all the time, y'all." Mike cheated himself and the team with taking his talents for granted. I wish we got Philly Mike Vick. He seemed like he actually cared about the learning position with Andy Reid. Coaching matters. And that's a very good point. Remember when we got the cocky, brash Jim Mora on the team, whose dream job was to go somewhere else? He was supposed to be the up-and-coming next guy. And he just so happened to inherit the most exciting, I didn't say the most skilled and most polished, I said, but the most exciting quarterback in the NFL when he came here in 2004. And was Jim Mora probably to blame for not enhancing Mike Vick? Of course, probably so. But I don't even know. You say coaching matters. Here's my only devil's advocate to that. Michael Vick was a different man when he got out of jail. Mike Vick understood that I had it made and I blew it because I wasn't mature. So when he went to Philly, of course he was a different guy. Of course he's going to listen to Andy Reid. And while I agree that Andy Reid is a much better coach than Jim Mora, let's also not act like a year and a half or 2 years in federal penitentiary doesn't change your mind about how you want to do life. 2 years prior to that, you're on a commercial with a roller coaster. Your jersey is the #1 selling in the country. And then 2 years later, you're in a jail cell that you can't get out of, doing federal time, not local time, not Fulton County time. Perspectives change. So while I agree with you, I don't want to put it all on just Andy Reid being better. Out of your Falcon Mind say Unchained Melody. Oh, my love. I love that song. That's a really good song. Absolutely. And that's one of those songs that a lot of I don't think there's any artist that I've heard that redone that song and done it right. Not to my knowledge. And that's a good one. The Righteous Brothers did. They did the Hall & Oates did the other songs. You lost that love. I remember that too. Eric says, I'm 43. You should see my album collections from the 70s and 80s. Too much history that my 8-year-old daughter knows. I play these albums daily. You know, it's interesting. I go through that same thing with my daughter. I was, it's hard now because I don't know 80 to 90% of the artists that they listen to unless there's somebody, big time, the Drakes, the Migos, the who's the guy, White Man Can't Jump, Jack Harlow, those guys. But my daughter was in the back seat and I heard her singing something. And I was like, what is she singing? And she was singing Babyface song, like an obscure Babyface song. Uh, and I was saying to myself, I was like, oh man. And I said, where'd you get that song from? She said, because we share playlists. She's like, oh, I see it in your phone playlist that we share. So she always listens to that. So she has her old school thing of all kinds of R&B songs and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of cool because I did the same thing, Eric. You know, my dad was listening to, Isaac Hayes, Barry White. I remember these album covers like they were nothing different, just and listening to those and bringing them into my own. I grew up Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Prince, that kind of stuff makes for a good combination. Atlanta Burger, as far as Vic, I think if he would have gotten a lesser sentence, Blake would have actually waited it out. I don't know if anyone remembers, but the Falcons waited a while before they did. Yeah, it's not like they waited, and then wasn't it something too about his signing bonus he had to pay back? It was a big deal about that, and he finally paid all of it back when he went to Philly or something. Yeah, that was weird. Dixon would say Dion left after 1994. That was a dark year for Atlanta sports. Dion left. Dominique, Jordan retired. I care less about Jordan. But yeah, Dion. That was okay. It's 94. My bad. I was in the military. I have an excuse for not remembering that year, possibly. Sorry about that. Don Harris says Vic had his faults, but stealing money here was not one of his faults. When your talent overshadows your coaching, bull. That's bull. Now, you forget the talent, because you can be the most talented guy in the world, but if you have that dark side, where you're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing, you stunted this franchise. Now, this is where, for all of the Thomas Dimitroff bashers or the possible the possible Matt Ryan haters, we only went through that 2007 season of turmoil. When you think about it, I think 06, we 7-9, 8-8. I forgot what we were. I know it was close to 500. But then the whole year of 2007, where we were dealing with all the Mike Vick stuff, most franchises would go deep diving. 5 years of nothing. So give the incoming guys, Dimitroff, give them credit. They grabbed Matt Ryan and at the time, was my boy name? Sam Baker. And then brought in Michael Turner and all of that. So, give them a little bit of credit that they turned it around where we didn't have to go through 2-3 years of bad play. That's why I'll always remember Thomas Dimitroff for that. Now, the last 5 years he was here, and now it was garbage. Well, and Big Low Country Sports, y'all make sure y'all catch my buddy on Big Low Country Sports. What in the world, no? Telling these big lies, talking about I was supposed to have number 7. If y'all don't get a chance, man, y'all go check out Big Low Country Sports, one of his shorts where he shows his number 7 jersey off. Please go look at that. You will definitely laugh. Do not watch it while you're drinking something, because you will spit it out. So Greg, what's going on, Greg? How you doing, man? Greg said, what's up, I see the hats, but not the Falcon shoes behind you. LOL. What is your overall ceiling for the team? I realistically see 10 to 11 wins, in my opinion. You're going to make me call you out, Greg. Hold on one second. Let's see. All right. Greg. So, Greg, as you see behind me, this is the locker room back here in the back. Now, I have these beautiful custom-made shoes from my buddy Greg, and I hope you appreciate this commercial on here. But My shelving is over there. So if you remember when you were watching, when I was doing my podcast on that side, I would have your shoes up there. So I'm gonna give you a hard time because your brother was giving you some love when they were on the shelf. But I can maybe I can put them up there with the hats. Not put the hats on there, but I'll look out for you. I'm just messing with you, my friend. So I realistically see 10 to 11 wins in my opinion. Y'all check out Greg on Custom Kicks and get your shoes from him before this season starts. This might be the year you want to go out there and show them off. David says, that's why the trade for Murray didn't happen per reports. They couldn't agree on how much money the Cardinals were going to pay out because the Falcons weren't going to pay him $40 million a year. That's for sure. Larry says Chandler has 2 playoff wins also, and the best win in franchise history. You know what? I forgot about Chandler. My apologies. I did. Thank you for being my correction machine today, Larry. Higher Self says we should get Big Low Country to be wide receiver 1. Yeah, right. That'll be a negative. But there is an opening for a power aid guy. And power aid guys can wear any number they want to. So, oh, man. Antonio says, how good do you think our secondary can be? I think our secondary can be pretty good. I like the Clark Phillips pickup, especially. I think that young man is probably going to elevate our room. And it's going to make some hard decisions, y'all. It's going to be some hard decisions to make. ISL said Big Low can get us a couple of wins. Yeah, right. Oh, man. Scott Time 9 say, Uncle Steve, did you catch that boy, the historian? He had a blast from the past yesterday doing the interview with Haskell Standback. And shout out to the Birdcage crew who did the interview too. Yes, I did see them yesterday on that. And that was a great little sit down with him. Y'all definitely check out Birdcage LLC with the historian Ryan Walker in there. They had a really nice time with Brother Haskell. Some good stuff they did in there yesterday. I don't think any player deserves to get their number retired here. Now, if they want to stop issuing out number 2s, I'm okay with that. But not an official retirement ceremony. We got to raise our expectation, and I think that's when you start talking about not participation trophies. I don't want to go there completely with Matt because Matt had an MVP season. Matt is the all-time leader, franchise leader in probably just about all the quarterback stats that you can get. But there's still an expectation that through leadership, and I know before y'all come attacking me with the team game stuff, when you look at the majority of teams in history, sans a few, so please don't throw Eric Donald, please don't throw the Chicago Bears defense, please don't say, I'm not talking about that, but out of the 50 plus Super Bowls, 45 to 50 of them are recognized by who was behind, who was taking the snaps. And as much as Matt Ryan did for this franchise, I don't know if Matt Ryan would want his number retired. I don't know. It is going to be something. I'm not going to disagree with it, though. I'll say that. If they come out and the Falcons announce that they're going to announce they would retire his jersey, that wouldn't bother me. That wouldn't bother me at all. Stephon says, yeah, you're right. I was one of those people, like, bring him back until I watched all of his interviews. Then I was good on getting him back. Thanks for all those years, though. Yeah, and you know, the one good thing about Mike is Mike has stayed loyal to the Falcons. I mean, Mike hasn't come back and went up there to bat for Philadelphia. He hasn't come and done hype. Well, at least I haven't seen any hype videos for the Eagles. Come back here. He did the introduction video for us. I'm trying to think, was that 2021 or 2022, where he did the little narration at the beginning. Comes down. I mean, I don't even need to remind y'all of the gigantic, enormous ovation he got the day we closed down the dome for the regular season. That was deafening. So he has no worries about his place in Atlanta history, but we can't just all the time, just start talking about retiring everybody's number. Now, see, I didn't even realize that. They don't issue out number 10. You know what? You're absolutely right. They really don't. And because he was probably the first significant quarterback we had. So, Higher Sale said, Uncle Steve, when Prince or Michael Jackson coming back to your live? I don't know. Have they come to the lives? I don't have any proof of that. Oh man. Dexter says, to be honest, you have one of the best podcasts out of everyone of the Falcons. Thank you. Rather you get paid or not, you're gonna read most of our comments, and I show appreciation for that. Much love for that. You know why I do that, Dexter? Because you're coming in to pay attention to something that I'm doing. I'm very big on that. I feel like I'm in the living room of folks having a conversation, and if I can't make you feel like your comment is any more important, and just for the record, if I don't get to your comments, charge it to my head, not my heart. Sometimes I skip around. This StreamYard is kind of weird sometimes, but I like interacting with everybody. It's cool with me. I mean, how else am I gonna find out what you think? So I appreciate that big time, Dexter. Thank you so much. Greg says, to this day, I clean up to Al Green, Miles Davis, Prince, Mike, Sly and the Family Songs. One of the most underrated groups of all time, man. Sly them were, woo. Barry White and basically the whole Dead Presidents soundtrack. Antonio says, how do you think young Stroud and Robinson gonna do in the NFL? I think it would be a mistake to me to throw Richardson out there real quick, just basically because there are just a lot of parts of his game that I don't think he is ready maybe this year. But after he gets a year or two of coaching, I think he could possibly be a Justin Fields-esque type of guy. And when I mean that, not so much of the running skill, but just the fact that the game might slow up. They threw Justin out there way too fast at Chicago, and they're lucky he didn't get hurt. So, yeah. Tidy says, what's Blank's fascination with hiring rookie head coach? That's a really good question when you think about that. Yeah. Dan Reeves might have soured him, man. Maybe him and Dan Reeves, rest his soul, maybe he had one big argument, and he said, man, I ain't talking to none of y'all no more. I want new guys on this team. New guys that I got to deal with. That's actually a very good point. He doesn't hire veteran guys. So, Dexter says his number 7 in the back needed some milk. You talking about Big Lowe's video again, man? Y'all go check that out. That was actually very funny. RJ, ATL for life. What's going on, brother? Said just got on lunch checking out your show, but yeah, I do remember us getting Sam Baker to stack. Sam gave us about 2 good years, man. He gave us a couple of years. See, Big Love, look. Anytime, Dexter, anytime you hear Big Love say, "Get that hate out your heart," that's what he meant to say. Get that hate out your heart. He can't even spell it right. So I might have to get Big Low on this weekend when we go over the rest of this Hall of Fame music stuff. I might have to get his knowledge too, because I know he's up there. Greg, man, and I didn't even see this, man. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. I said there is no denying 70s, 80s music is the best. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat up there. I always appreciate that. If I had Big Low on here, I would get him to give me a shout out, but it ain't gonna be Superman. It's gonna be something like Stevie Wonder. Yeah, they find a Stevie Wonder song to shout out. What's up, false start? Good to see you in here, brother. Said 13-4. Woo-wee. I got you. Tidy said he left after the 1993 season. Now, see, that's what I'm confused because I'm trying to think. I was still in Germany. And I'm almost positive 94 was his first Frisco year, right? That's why I didn't think it was 94. So that probably sounds better. See, like I remember when I got here, that season, the 94 season was the season that him and Andre went at it in the thing, and San Francisco won the Super Bowl. It said, Titus said, if any number deserves to be retired by the Falcons, it's number 20. Man, let me tell you something. Devontae Freeman, Devontae Freeman, if he didn't do anything, he gave us that 18 months worth of good running back play. Gave us a good part, all of 2016, and I give him some love for 2015. Ever since that, he was a poor man's Avery Williams. Oh man. David says if we complete the task February 5th, 2017, I'm down with it. And y'all remember too, man, this NFC is not strong. Who knows what happened? I keep hearing, Philadelphia just won the Super Bowl. They got it's so much to go through. You got injuries that are gonna happen. You have other teams that you don't know what's gonna happen with them. Stuff can happen to us. But this is a year that you can mess around and, mess around and get to the playoffs, man. Greg says, tell them about that Cheryl Lynn encore. Oh yeah, I like that. It's like an encore. Dang, why are these things repeating today? I don't know why these comments are repeating on me. Eric says, I've been influenced by the Commodores. I personally know one of the original members because of them, Prince and Shaka. I really got into the rest of the 70s artists. My wife is 35 and I introduced her to a lot. Yeah, it's I'm telling you, man, 70s, I said I was already big Stevie when I was a little kid. So yeah, Stevie, Prince, Earth, Wind, and Fire with the most underrated voice in R&B, and Maurice White. Barry White had a nice run during there. Spinners. Just a lot of good stuff. The guys near the end of the 70s that were coming on, like Rick James, made a name for themselves, and it just a good time for music, 70s and 80s. So Facebook user, is the Hammers number retired? I'm sure it is. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I'm crossing sports. I thought you meant Hank Aaron. You talking about Jesse Tucker? I doubt it. Nah. As great as Jesse was, Jesse won't even be known as the best linebacker in Atlanta history. That'll probably go to Tommy Novus. Somebody probably saying Keith Brooking, which is a joke. It's for y'all come at me. I'm just joking. What's good, brother? Once again, thank you for the support in the ABG content. How many wins do you see us out of the first 5 games? Do you think we could have that Super Bowl run record? Ask me this question 1 week from today, because the schedule is slated to come out Thursday. So when you say the first 5 games, I got to know what those first 5 games are. Now, we do have Philadelphia on the schedule this year, but from our schedule, I don't think it's a whole lot of really good teams. I mean, you talk about, we played the AFC South with Jacksonville was the champ. Jacksonville, Tennessee, whatever. I mean, the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. Let's see what the challenges will be with that. Aside of Philly, I don't see why we don't have a chance to be in 15 to 16 games. So, that's a good one too, Greg. The Whispers. Whispers is good. Facebook user says the Eagles lost their coordinators. What happened to us when we lost Shanahan after the Super Bowl. That's actually a really good point because you never know what that culture could have been. You got two new guys coming in. That's a good point. It's a fair point. I know most people will say, well, the talent is still there. A lot of people said that about our Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan came, we couldn't score a point. For all of the Falcons didn't have a defense. That 2017 defense was not bad. It wasn't top 10, but it wasn't bad. But we couldn't score. Kyle Shanahan came in here and left. He took everything. It's almost like the Monstars. He got the little football and made all the offensive players put their hand on it and took all the talent to San Francisco. Titus says, so you telling me that the Falcons only committed to Ritter after the Panthers beat them to the trade and after the Kyler deal fell through? Look, I'll say this. It was probably at some point Terry and Arthur probably had to come out and say, listen, y'all, we can sit here and pretend like we're going to run up and grab us a quarterback in the draft, or we can go out there and start building this young man's confidence up right now. I think it was a real good strategic move to name him the quarterback early, because now not only do you have him saying, hey, I'm not fighting for anything this year, because I don't think it's going to be a competition with him and Heineke. I would have loved if there were, but I don't think it's going to be a competition. I think you're going to have Ritter in there. It's Ritter or bust. And let's hope it's not bust this year. Facebook user says, Unsung sheds a lot of light on those great singing artists, especially for our young cats. Unsung is probably one of the better shows. I even found myself, if you don't watch one show from Unsung, go watch the Minnie Riperton show. Man, if that doesn't make you shed a tear, or make you not even shed a tear, but if that don't make you emotional, man, she died really young, man. But one of the most beautiful voices in the history of music. But that was a hard watch in a good way, because it was showing her talent and stuff. But I ain't gonna blow it for you. But Charles B says Falcon got an easy schedule. Yes, they do. Austin, what's going on, man? Good to see you in the house. Glad you could join us for these last couple of minutes here. Scooter as well. What's on, Scooter? Says Shanny left and Sark came and every play was a chance. That's actually a pretty accurate description of what went on, Scooter. And man, and think about that, y'all. Just play that back in your mind. We went up against a Philadelphia team that could barely score a touchdown. A team that went on to win the Super Bowl. And remember, Philadelphia was running up the score on everybody except us that postseason, including New England. But we couldn't score to save our life. Our defense was real good. I mean, jeez. Stefan says Falcons have a real easy schedule. We're going to surprise some people. Oh, absolutely. Lisa says Sark quit jet sweep consecutively. Hey, man, you got Sarkasian was, look, he said, y'all brought me in here. And remember, that was right after his, little deal with the alcohol and everything like that. So, this was kind of a reclamation thing for him too. So it was big. It's kind of good to see him finally get his stuff back on. Hopefully he'll have Texas in the house. So we'll see. Listen, y'all, it's 2:30, so y'all know what that means. Time for me to break up out of here. I will be on Sunday, and I'll post it what time I'll be on, but it'll be Sunday afternoon. Hopefully we can talk a little bit more about not only the number 7, talk more about the schedule possibilities, talk more about this Hall of Fame, this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and all of the soul and country artists that have been dominating the inductions into this Hall of Fame. Until then, everyone have a blessed Sunday. Stay dry. Don't get out there if you don't have to. And we'll catch you all later on. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate y'all. Y'all take care, okay?